Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur's What's in My Room. And I am David Strege, and here I'm going to tell you some more titles that are within my, that begin with the letter R in my collection. And so the first one that I wanted to show you is called, it stars Corbin Bernsen, and it says A Journey Home, A Faith Restored. It's called Rust. And I ended up, I believe, picking this one up from Lomira Video. And evidently it's directed by Corbin Bernsen. So, a shining story of rediscovering faith. It was put out by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment with Team Cherokee Productions and Kipling Film Productions. So, there we go. Rust. Next I have Return of the Living Dead 2, directed by Ken Widerhorn, put out by Warner's Productions Company, just when you thought it was safe to be dead. That's the DVD version of that. Next I have Robot Jox. It's directed by Stuart Gordon, produced by Albert Band, put out by Empire Pictures, and produced by Charles Band. The story being by Stuart himself. And it says, the ultimate killing machine, part man, part metal, for many, many, many years. This was out of print. Next, I have a film called Restitution. This one's from a filmmaker from Detroit, Michigan, and it's directed by Lance K.R. Kawas. It's called Restitution: Revenge Has No Limits. And the film stars Mena Suvari, Mark Bierlin, C. Thomas Howell, William Sadler, and Tom Arnold. Next, I have a limited uncut edition of a film called Road R.I.P., by Marcel Waltz, starring Sabrina Brencher and Rabia Werrich. Next, I have a film. This is a 2-disc director's cut of Ruthless, an experiment in torture, and it says Dark Age production. So on disc 1 is Ruthless, but there's a bonus short film called Dead End on here as well. Trying to see if I can't take a flashlight to this bitch. Alright, so no budget films. Okay, yeah. So remember that you don't rent here anymore? Well, you don't rent here anymore, and Ruthless and Experiment in Terror, as well as Dead End. This is all directed by Ryan W. Mead. And this says, David, stay ruthless, friend. Thanks. I'd actually picked this up from him in particular. He had this as something cool from No Budget Films. That's what his company was at the time. Next, I have Russ Mayer's Vixen Collection. This is very much out of print. It was put. It's called the Bossomania Collection, and on here is Vixens, Super Vixens, and Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens from RM Films International. So very much out of print trilogy set of Russ Meyer films. Next, I have Resurrection of the Little Match Girl, a Japanese film. Evidently a Korean film. It's got English subtitles on it. Next, I have Road Hell, and this was put out by Independent Entertainment and Camp Motion Pictures. It's directed by Alex Pucci, Draven Gonzalez, and Pete Jessalone, with Screamings and Untold Horror. Scream Kings and Untold Horror. Road Hell. Life's a journey, hell's a destination. Next, I have Riot, which stars Gary Daniels and Sugar Ray Leonard. It's Every Man for Himself. And this film is directed by Joseph Mary, put out by Universal and PM Entertainment Group. So, yeah, Riot. Next, I have a Disney film called Race to Witch Mountain. It's the third installment in this film franchise, and it's directed by Andy Fickman. And it stars The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. Has his name all over it. Next, I have a Troma film that I had picked up called Ragin' Cajun. And it stars, and it's directed by William Byron Hillman. And it stars David Heavener, Charlene Tilton, Samantha Egger, and Sam Bottoms. It says boxing and killing were the easy parts. Next, I have David Cronenberg's Rabid on Arrow, Blu-ray, and DVD combo. But this is a Region B locked edition of it. I don't understand why things are locked. There really should be no reason why they should be locked at all. Next, I have a feature films per family DVD of Return to the Secret Garden, Rediscovered the True Meaning of Friendship. And this is a film that stars Mercedes Kastner, Michelle Horn, Josh Zuckerman, Guy Sinner, Booth Coleman, Joel Sweto, Bob Fimiani, and Lawrence Lau. It was directed by Scott Featherstone, and it was inspired by the novel The Secret Garden, by Frances Hodgson Burnett. So there we have Return to Secret Garden. Next I have Return of the Man from U.N.C.L.E., the 15 Years Later affair. So this was a TV movie that starred Robert Vaughn and David McCallum. They've been out of the spy business for 15 years. Now U.N.C.L.E. wants them back. So there's that affair. Next I have Return to House on Haunted Hill. This is the sequel to the remake of the House on Haunted Hill. And it is directed by Victor Garcia, put out by Warner Brothers, and this was another one of the Dark Castle films. The Dark Castle Home Entertainment. So, yeah. Return to House on Haunted Hill. Next, I have a movie with Timothy Hutton in a movie called Reflections. And apparently it is looking for... Sometimes they fuck with the directorial... Casting, makeup, editor, executive producers, co-producer, line producer, music by... Doesn't really say. Oh, Brian Goers. So Brian Goers is the director, I believe, of this particular film. Next I have Red Hill, and this is directed by Patrick Hughes. It was put out by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment with Destination Films and Hughes House Films. I'm going to check that out eventually. Next I have Reborn. That was put out by Lionsgate with Post Real Productions. And it was directed by Craig McMahon. Next I have a Korean copy, I believe, of Our Point. This is an independent film that was directed by Chris Lato, and it's called Rough Cut. But it was distributed by Gator Blade Films at the time, along with Reaper Films. I don't know if you can see that as of yet. So, Gator Blade Films, I believe, is run by... oh, God. I forget at this moment. But in any case, next I have Red Christmas. And this was directed by Craig Anderson. Raver Banner released this. The same company that released Bunny the Killer Thing. And Dee Wallace stars in this very momentarily. Next, I have Run for Your Life. And this was... It looks like it was directed by Judd Ehrlich. It says 40,000 runners, 2 million spectators, 26.2 miles, a New York City marathon. Run for Your Life, the Fred LeBeau story. Not even sure why I have this one, but I guess I'll check it out when I get a chance. So here is the original Rabid by David Cronenberg. That's my DVD copy of it. It is put out by Somerville House, Dunging, Link, and Reitman. Yvonne Reitman, the guy who was behind Ghostbusters, was an executive producer behind this. So, here I have Rabid. Next I have Joel Coen's, one of the Coen brothers' films, Raising Arizona, starring Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter. Picked that up at one point because we actually went on about it, the Inside Movies Galore crew. Next I have Rage, Furia Primitiva. And evidently this is a French copy of a film. Evidently distributed by Storm. Millennium Storm, I guess. I'll have to figure out what the name of this film is in English, because I have no idea. Unless you want to let me know down in the comments what you think it might actually mean. So next I have Ramblin' Man. Stars Tom Selleck, Morgan Fairchild, and Jerry Reed. These cowboys are out of luck, out of money, and one may be out of his mind. The film is directed by Burt Kennedy, and it's put out by Direct Source. Next I have Rambo 3. This is one of the Ultimate Editions. And the film is directed by Peter McDonald and put out by Lionsgate and Studio Canal. Stars Sylvester Stallone. Next I have Rancho Deluxe. Stars Jeff Bridges, Sam Waterston, and Elizabeth Ashley. The music is by Jimmy Buffett, but I believe it is directed by Frank Perry, and I guess it's an MGM Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer distributed film. So yeah, Rancho Deluxe. I have not seen it as of yet. Next I have the remake of Rabid, put out by the Soska sisters. And this was put out by Back 40 Pictures and Telefilm Canada. And Ontario creates a Twisted Films production. So I guess this might have actually been filmed in Canada. And it actually says it's based on the original film by David Cronenberg. So, kind of stoked to go and see that eventually. Next, I have Red River, directed by Jacob Enos, and this is put out by Bloody Earth Films and Tuckywood Productions. Red River. It says deviant cannibal torture. The lucky ones die. Next, I have the new Rambo, Last Blood. And that's directed by, looks like it's directed by Adrian Grunberg, and it's put out by Lionsgate. Next, I have, well, on the side of this says Roston DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray soundtrack, and it says Tros Eleng Releasing. And I ended up buying this from my Finland friend, and he put out The Defiler, Vakiva Hiki, Usi Aja Documenti, Art House. This is number 4 out of 10 box sets made. And it's a quadrilogy of The Defiler, Art House, Trislung Studios, Mastercraft. See, he actually made this box set himself. I don't know if you can see it all the way, but I ended up paying a good sum for this. And here, you can see this one has Trostlang. This is documentary series. It says Roston Soul, and this is artwork by Data Man. That's the guy behind all of this. Vakiva Hiki. That's some of his artwork. Arturi Roston is this is pretty much like some really cool stuff. This is some artwork. This looks like some artwork behind some of the movies of this, and this is a poster, I believe, of this particular film. I'm trying to undo it just for a moment so that you can see. All right. Give me just 1 second. All right, so that's a poster. And here's another poster. That's some really wicked art, hey? And it's all region. It ended up being all region. I'm glad that I was able to pick up a copy of this, and I'll put this back together here. It's amazing. Just this artwork alone. I know I wanted it like mad. And this says it's Roston Art House. So these are some films that he made. Artery, Dark Dream, Ephialtes Manifestator, Exceptional Beauty, Lotulite Titoyski, and Volerai. These, I guess these are all films that Roston did. And this is his edition of The Defiler. The Defiler was a very cool... there's the soundtrack. Defiler got a little small booklet of its own, too. But there ended up being an interesting poster here. Sorry I'm going so slow about this, but I'm just trying not to entirely. So there we have a Defiler poster there. And I have 3 different copies of the Defiler. It really it was a popular short film across several companies. So I was extremely amazed to get it in this box set from Arturi Roston's actual home country. So, but yeah, I put that under R because it just says Roston on the side. Unfortunately, it's also hard to put back together. So let me put this. Okay. Now I should be able to stick it back in there. Okay. So there's that. Next I have Rock and Roll Frankenstein. It's a different cover. This is with Camp Motion Pictures, and it's directed by Brian O'Hara. Next I have Robo War, and that is produced by Sterling Entertainment and Polonia Brothers Entertainment, and it's directed by Mark Polonia. It wasn't a bad film. It wasn't. Next I have the last and latest Robin Hood with Taron Egerton, Jamie Foxx, Ben Mendelsohn, Eve Hewson, and Jamie Dornan. Then I have Disney's Robin Hood. Ended up picking up that Blu-ray DVD. It's the 40th edition version of it. And Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. Next I have another copy of Rites of Spring. Different copy, a different cover, actually. And it's a film directed by Padraig Reynolds. So I'm curious to whether this actually has like a longer cut or something like that, on that. So next I have a standalone a copy of Arrow's Ringu, the first Ring, the first Japanese Ring. And that is directed by Hideo Nakata. Next, I have a movie called Revenge. And that is directed by Christopher Lewis. And it stars Patrick Wayne, John Carradine, Joseph Hart, Benny Lee McGowan, and Stephanie Nopke. They Want Your Body or Just Part of It. And that was distributed by VCI Entertainment. Next I have Retarded. And that was put out by Midnight Releasing. And it was directed by Rick Ropko and Dan West. In association with 321 Films. Retarded. Next I have Christopher Lambert in a film called Resurrection. Be afraid, for he is coming. And this film is directed by Russell Mulcahy and put out by Interlight Pictures and Baldwin Cohen Productions. Next I have Red Lips Bloodlust. And that is put out by Sub Rosa Cinema, and it's directed by Donald Farmer. Next I have Reckoning. And this is directed by Travis Legg. He's from Rockford, Illinois. And I absolutely love this film. I mean, he said, "Thank you, David," and I was actually able to get a copy. The film stars Danielle Dosh, Josh Hoover, Brandon K. Jones, Desi Maloney, Joe Mistretta, Dustin Ernest, Kevin Poole, Allison Didier, Becky Bramlett, Steve Hayden, Ricardo Thurmond, Shelley Lynn, and Travis Legg were in it. Next I have the Universal Legacy series, a copy of James Stewart and Alfred Hitchcock's 2-disc edition of Rear Window. Absolutely love this film. Next I have Rays. The film is directed by Josh C. Waller. Film is put out by IFC Midnight, MPI Media Group, and Cinepix, with Quincy Pictures and XYZ Films. And the film stars Zoe Bell and Rachel Nichols. May the best woman win. Next I have a movie called Raw. And let's see. The film is directed by Julia Ducournau. And it stars Garance Marillier, Ella Rumpf, and Rabah Nait Aufela. A modern horror masterpiece. Next I have a film called Ranger 15. Matt Best, Jared Taylor, Vincent Vargas, Nick Palamisciano, Jack Mandeville, Keith David, William Shatner, and Sean Astin all star in this horror film. and it's directed by Ross Patterson. Next, I have a double feature from Bloody Disgusting Selects. The first film is called Rambach Berlin Undead, and the second film is called Yellow Brick Road. And the first film, Rambach, is directed by Marvin Crine, and the second film is directed by Andy Mitten and Jesse Holland. And both of them have several laurels with them. So, Germany is Dead on the Berlin Undead, and the road has no fairy tale. This road has no fairy tale ending on Yellow Brick Road. Next, I have a Lionsgate film with, distributed with Renegade Pictures, directed by Rich Ambler, Wood Dixon production. Raising Jeffrey Dahmer. With Maple Pictures. Next I have Cody Evans in Rain River Falls, featuring Charlotte Whitney Wild and this is from MFTDE, Messenger for the Damned Entertainment. This is a Joe Hogg film. Next I have a film that is directed by Steve Mahone. It's put out by Silo Symphony with Wolf Clan Productions. From Big Bite Entertainment. An R2 film from 2010. Steve Mahone. Let's see. It's called Radiant. And this has several laurels on it. And finally, I've got a 2-disc edition version of You've Been Robbed films in association with Maniac Films called Rabbit Hole, and this film is directed by Rob Dimension and Mike O. Mahoney, and it's signed. It says "Thank you, Rob Dimension" on it. So there we have it, folks. The second video for all the films that begin with the letter R. I appreciate you listening and checking out my channel. Thank you so much for listening. I will definitely have some more cool stuff for you in the future. I appreciate your time spent, and thank you so much. I just enjoy showing you what's in my collection. So appreciate you coming and seeing what's all out there. And thank you so much. Enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?